On the evening of Friday, the 6th of August, 2021, a young woman said goodbye to her family. The last image her family would ever have of her alive was captured on their own doorbell camera. 23-year-old Megan Newborough stepping out of her front door, getting into her white Citroen C3 and pulling away from the curb. She is wearing her glasses, a small, ordinary detail that would later become a devastating piece of evidence. She told her parents she was going to meet a colleague from work. She said they were going for a walk. She said she wouldn't be long. Within 60 minutes of that footage being recorded, within 1 single hour, Megan Newborough was dead. Murdered inside the home of a man she trusted, a man she had known for barely 6 weeks. What followed was a crime of extraordinary, calculated cruelty, a cover-up designed to protect a guilty man, and a family's desperate search for a daughter who would never walk back through that door. Megan Newborough was, by every account, the kind of person who made a room warmer simply by entering it. She was 23 years old. Born and raised in Nuneaton, Warwickshire, she was the daughter of Anthony and Elaine Newborough, and she was part of what her father would later describe in court as a large, close-knit family who loved her fiercely. Dancing was one of Megan's greatest passions. She had danced for as long as anyone could remember. But Megan didn't keep that joy to herself. She shared it. In her spare time, she taught children of all ages how to dance. Professionally, Megan was making her mark. She worked as a human resources advisor at Ibstock Brick, a manufacturing company in northwest Leicestershire. She was bright, organized, and well-liked by her colleagues. Friends described her as one in a million. Generous, warm, caring. Her father would later tell the court, Megan was always there for her friends, offering advice and guidance. They would even call her Mother Megan. She had a dog named Frank, whom she was inseparable from. She had her whole life ahead of her. It is important, before we go any further, that we sit with that. Megan Newborough was not a name in a case file. She was a 23-year-old woman who taught children to dance, who called home to let her parents know she'd be back soon. She deserves to be remembered as that.
Megan had only been working at Ibstock Brick for a matter of months. It was there, in late June of 2021, that she first encountered Ross McCullum. McCullum was 30 years old, a lab assistant at the same company. He lived with his parents in Windsor Close, Colville. The two of them had been exchanging flirtatious messages. What Megan did not know was the kind of man she was dealing with. On the evening of Friday the 6th of August, 2021, Megan received a message from McCullum. He invited her to his parents' house in Colville. She agreed. At 7:32 p.m, Megan climbed into her white Citroen C3. 36 minutes later, at 8:08 p.m, residential CCTV on Windsor Close captured her arriving at McCullum's home. What happened inside that house will never be fully known to anyone but McCullum himself. But the jury concluded this. A violent and sustained attack took place inside the lounge. Megan fought back. Her Fitbit was found ripped from her wrist. She had injuries from her shin to the crown of her head. After Megan was dead, Ross McCullum did not call the police. Methodically, and in cold blood, he loaded her body into the boot of her own car. McCullum didn't even have a driving licence, but public infrastructure tracked his movements. At 9 p.m, Roadside ANPR cameras captured Megan's Citroën travelling toward Charlie Road, a remote country lane near Beacon Hill Country Park. He concealed her body in undergrowth off the roadside. Then he abandoned the scene. At 9:47 p.m, a highway traffic camera caught the Citroën resurfacing from the countryside. McCullum was heading into town to complete his cover-up.
Megan's family began to worry the following afternoon. At some point on Saturday, August 7th, Megan was formally reported missing to Warwickshire Police. When police made their initial inquiries at McCullum's home, their body cams captured a man perfectly composed. He feigned ignorance. He looked officers in the eye and told them he was worried about her. But the digital trail had already caught him out. Later that evening, tactical officers returned. Arrest body cam footage captured the chilling moment his facade dropped. Arrested outside his bedroom door, McCullum leaned in and whispered the exact coordinates of where he had hidden Megan's body. In the early hours of Sunday, the 8th of August, Megan's body was found, exactly where he had left her. When investigators examined the timeline, they found a man who had gone to extraordinary lengths to conceal his crime. The most damning evidence was an 8-minute continuous block of CCTV pulled from Loughborough College. At 9:50 p.m., McCullum is seen driving Megan's car into the campus car park to abandon it. At 9:52 p.m., he exits the vehicle. He reaches into the back doors, removing items. A minute later, the camera catches him pulling off his top, replacing it with a clean spare shirt he had intentionally brought from home to hide the blood evidence. At 9:55 p.m., he walks to the commercial bins. Here, he throws away Megan's boots, blood-stained sheets, and the glasses she was seen wearing on her Ring doorbell camera just hours earlier, now violently crushed. By 10 p.m., public CCTV monitors McCullum walking calmly through town. He successfully hails a taxi. Residential CCTV back in Colville later confirms he asked to be dropped off a noticeable distance away from his street, a final calculated deceit to avoid alerting his neighbors. When interviewed, McCullum claimed he had gone into a blind rage.
He pleaded guilty to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility, but the Crown refused to accept it. This was not a loss of control. This was a calculated, methodical murder. Whilst awaiting trial, he bragged to a fellow prisoner about using his mental health history as a tool at trial. That arrogance would be his undoing. The trial of Ross McCullum opened at Leicester Crown Court in November 2022. It lasted 6 weeks. The prosecution walked the jury through every frame of that CCTV footage, completely dismantling his defense. Prosecutor Mr. Kamek described McCullum to the jury as a sadistic killer who had acted with ruthless intent, driven by anger rooted in his own sexual inadequacies. He told them McCullum was a very dangerous man. On Monday, the 12th of December, 2022, after deliberating for just 1 hour and 30 minutes, the jury returned a unanimous verdict: guilty of murder. 4 days later, before Judge Philip Ed Casey passed sentence, Megan's family read their victim impact statements. Megan's sister Claire addressed McCullum directly from the witness box. "I hope she haunts you." Megan's father, Anthony, told the court of the guilt of letting her go that night. Megan had no idea of the evil terror she was about to face. None of us did. Ross McCullum was sentenced to life imprisonment. He must serve a minimum of 23 years before he can even be considered for release. In 2023, Megan's family launched the Megan Newborough Foundation. supporting the White Ribbon Charity, Dogs Trust, and Killed Women.
Megan Newborough went out for a walk on an August evening and never came home. She was 23 years old. She taught children to dance. She was loved fiercely and completely by a family whose lives were shattered beyond repair. What remains is only this: her name, her story, and the responsibility of those of us who hear it to remember not the man who killed her, but the woman she was. Megan Newborough, 23 years old, 1 in a million. In memory of Megan Newborough. 12th August, 1997. 6th August, 2021.